This story was crafted by our talented Revenge Tempest viewer Jessica T. If you trust in your writing skills and imagination, leave a comment below. We'd love to connect with you and explore your creative potential. She once told me blogs weren't a real career. That day I didn't argue. I just stepped behind the podium and watched her realize who the spotlight was actually for. My name is Lauren Brooks, a 28-year-old blogger from Seattle, Washington, where the misty rains often mirror the quiet resilience of those overlooked. I'd spent years pouring my soul into Rainy Reflections, a blog that began as a personal diary during sleepless nights, scribbling thoughts on a borrowed laptop. It evolved into a lifeline, advocating for mental health awareness and small business survival, resonating with readers who felt as lost as I once did. My cousin Rachel Harper, a corporate lawyer with a cutting edge and a law degree from an Ivy League school, had always sneered at my work, labeling it a hobby during family dinners where her success was toasted with expensive wine. That day at the Seattle Tech Summit, however, her mockery would face a reckoning, and I was determined to seize my moment, turning her disdain into the fuel for my triumph. The journey started with a cryptic email, buried among routine notifications in my cluttered inbox amid a storm of spam and subscription updates. The subject line, Keynote Invitation, Seattle Tech Summit, seemed too good to be true, a glimmer of hope in the gray of my morning routine. I opened it with trembling fingers, the coffee in my mug growing cold as I read. The sender, Elena Martinez, the event organizer and a respected figure in the tech world, confirmed my selection as a keynote speaker. My blog's impact, guiding over 10,000 readers, many small business owners, through the pandemic with practical advice and emotional support, had caught their eye. A university study had even quantified it, crediting my platform with driving $2 million in revenue for struggling entrepreneurs. My heart raced with a mix of disbelief and pride, a sensation I hadn't felt since my first viral post about coping with seasonal depression. This was a leap from my usual online rants to a stage shared with CEOs and innovators, a world Rachel had always claimed as her own. I replied with a cautious yes, my fingers hovering over the keyboard, imagining her reaction. She'd scoffed at that depression post, urging me to get a real job like law, her voice dripping with condescension. I knew she'd be in the audience, her law firm a major sponsor, and I planned to turn her presence into my advantage, proving my worth on a stage she couldn't control. The summit venue, a sleek convention center overlooking the gray expanse of Puget Sound, buzzed with energy, polished suits mingling with the flash of tech demos, the air thick with the hum of innovation and ambition. Backstage, I adjusted my blazer, the fabric slightly wrinkled from my nervous fidgeting, nerves knotting my stomach as I reviewed my notes. My talk, titled Building Resilience in the Digital Rain, was a personal tapestry woven with data. My story of a panic attack during a relentless storm that sparked my blogging journey, paired with statistics on how my blog had supported readers, many small business owners who'd survived lockdowns thanks to my resources. I'd rehearsed it a dozen times in my tiny apartment, the rain tapping against the window like a metronome, but standing there, the reality hit harder. The stage lights warmed the air, casting a golden glow on the curtains, and the crowd's murmur was a distant roar, a sea of expectation I'd never faced. Then I heard her voice, Rachel's, sharp and dismissive, drifting from the wings as she chatted with colleagues. Lauren's up next? She'll bore them with her blog nonsense. Not a real job, you know. Just wait until she stumbles, she's out of her depth. Her words reignited years of her jabs, a barrage of criticism that had started when I dropped out of college to pursue writing, trading lectures for late-night blog posts. She'd been the family golden child, her law degree a badge of honor paraded at every reunion, while I was the dreamer, who'd chosen a path she deemed frivolous. The sting of her latest remark, mocking my post on anxiety coping strategies, echoed in my mind, her laughter mingling with the clink of champagne glasses. I clenched my fists, the locket around my neck, a gift from my mother engraved with a raindrop, warming against my skin as I steadied myself. This was my moment, a chance to rewrite the narrative she'd scripted for me. The MC's voice boomed, announcing my name, and I stepped onto the stage, the spotlight a blinding embrace that erased the shadows of doubt. The room fell silent, hundreds of eyes turning to me, a collective breath held in anticipation. Rachel sat front row, her smirk faltering as I adjusted the microphone, her presence a challenge I intended to meet head-on. I opened with my story, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. 3 years ago, I sat in my apartment during a storm, heart racing, unable to breathe. I began. Blogging saved me, not just by writing but by connecting me to others who felt the same. I paused, letting the vulnerability sink in, then shifted to the data. My blog had driven $2 million in small business revenue, a figure backed by a local university's research, and supported a community of 10,000 readers with mental health tips and business strategies. Resilience isn't just a corporate buzzword, I said, my tone gaining strength. It's the single mom who saved her cafe with my inventory tips, the veteran who found hope in my comments section, the artist who turned a side hustle into a livelihood. The audience leaned in, nodding, their engagement a silent validation. I unveiled Rainy Roots, a nonprofit funded by my blog's ad revenue to offer free mental health workshops for entrepreneurs, a vision born from my own struggles. The room erupted in thunderous applause, a wave of support that washed over me, but my eyes locked on Rachel. Her silence was deafening, her confidence cracking as the spotlight she'd mocked now illuminated my triumph. Post-talk, the room buzzed with admirers. Small business owners thanking me with teary eyes, a tech CEO proposing a partnership to integrate my resources into his startup, a young woman asking for a hug after finding solace in my posts. The validation was overwhelming, a stark contrast to Rachel's dismissal. Yet she approached, her face a mask of forced calm, her designer heels clicking with each step. "Nice show, Lauren," she said tightly, her voice laced with an edge I recognized as envy. "But it's still not law. You're playing dress-up on a stage." I smiled, undeterred, my confidence bolstered by the crowd's response. "It's my law, Rachel. One I built with every word, every reader. You can't judge what you don't understand." She turned away, her shoulders stiff, but I saw the crack in her armor, a flicker of doubt that told me I'd struck a nerve. The encounter left me energized, but an unease lingered. Her firm's influence was vast, and her pride wouldn't let this slide. Backstage, I gathered my things, the adrenaline fading into a quiet pride. As I slung my bag over my shoulder, I noticed an envelope slipped beneath it, plain, unmarked, its presence jarring against the polished surroundings. I opened it with cautious fingers, revealing a note scrawled in block letters. "Your rise threatens us. Back off, Rainy Roots, or else." My pulse spiked, a cold sweat breaking out on my neck. Who was this? Rachel's firm? A rival blogger jealous of my spotlight? The threat tied my success to a dangerous undercurrent, suggesting my advocacy had ruffled feathers beyond family rivalry. I tucked the note into my bag, my mind racing with possibilities: corporate sabotage, legal intimidation, or something darker. I met Chloe Evans, my longtime friend and a cybersecurity expert who'd helped secure my blog from trolls, at a quiet cafe near Pike Place Market. The aroma of roasted coffee grounded me as she examined the note, her brow furrowing. "This watermark," she said, holding it to the light, "matches Harper Associates stationery. They're watching you, Lauren." We pulled up my blog analytics on her laptop, spotting unusual traffic spikes from an IP address tied to her firm. "They're probing for weaknesses," Chloe warned. "Your Rainy Roots initiative threatens their clients. Big corporations losing ground to small businesses you've empowered." The realization hit hard. My cousin's dismissal was now a calculated attack. Chloe set up real-time monitors to protect my site, but the notes, or else, echoed, hinting at a physical or legal threat. That night, I sat at my desk, the rain tapping against the window, and wrote a defiant blog post, standing in the storm, vowing to protect my community. The spotlight I'd claimed now cast long, uncertain shadows, and I braced for a fight to defend my hard-earned triumph, knowing the battle was far from over. The soft patter of rain against Chloe's apartment window provided a rhythmic backdrop as we pored over the evidence. The anonymous note from the summit: "Your rise threatens us. Back off, Rainy Roots, or else," sprawled across her coffee table. Lauren Brooks, the blogger who'd turned Rachel's scorn into a stage triumph, now faced a shadow cast by my own success. The applause from the Seattle Tech Summit still echoed in my mind, but the threat hinted at a deeper struggle, one where justice would demand more than a podium victory. Chloe's cybersecurity expertise was my anchor, and together we'd unravel who dared to challenge my rise, turning their intimidation into my next step forward. Chloe's laptop glowed in the dim room as she traced the IP address linked to the unusual traffic on my blog. "This ping originates from Harper Associates," she said, her voice steady but edged with concern. "They've been probing your site, scanning for vulnerabilities, likely planning a cyber attack or data breach." My stomach twisted as the pieces fell into place. Rachel's dismissal at the summit had been personal, but this felt like a corporate vendetta, a calculated move to undermine my growing influence. Chloe pulled up archived server logs, revealing a pattern. Her firm had lost high-profile clients to small businesses boosted by my blog's advice. "Your Rainy Roots initiative is a direct threat to their bottom line," she explained. "They're losing millions as your readers thrive." The realization fueled my resolve. This wasn't just about proving Rachel wrong. It was a battle against the power and corruption she represented. Determined to fight back, I reached out to Mia Thompson, a fellow blogger and mental health advocate whose platform had grown alongside mine. Her warm voice over a video call bolstered my spirits. "They're scared of you, Lauren," she said, her eyes fierce. "We'll stand together." Mia suggested a live stream to rally my community, inviting readers to share how my blog had changed their lives, countering any potential smear with a flood of authentic voices. The sense of solidarity lifted me, a collective strength emerging from the comments section I'd nurtured. We planned the event for the next evening, Chloe securing the feed with encrypted layers to thwart another crash. That night, I prepared in my apartment, the rain a comforting companion as I set up my camera. As I went live, hundreds joined, their messages flooding the chat, veterans thanking me for community, bakers crediting my tips for survival, a single mom tearfully recounting her cafe's rescue. The energy was electric, a testament to the impact I'd built. Then mid-broadcast my site crashed again. Chloe cursed, tracing the attack to a DDoS from Rachel's firm's servers. "They're trying to silence you," she said, her fingers flying to restore the feed. I refused to back down. "Keep it running," I urged. Mia rallied her followers to mirror the stream, and within hours the crash became a rallying cry. My audience grew, their shared outrage amplifying my voice. The power of their support was my strength, a community forged in the digital rain. The next morning Rachel called, her tone icy and clipped. "You're making a mistake, Lauren. Back off Rainy Roots, or we'll expose your unstable past, those panic attacks you've hidden." My breath caught, the memory of those dark days flashing before me. She'd weaponized my vulnerability, a low blow that stoked my rage. I hung up, my resolve hardening into steel. Chloe suggested a counterstrike, leaking proof of their harassment to Sophie Reed, a journalist friend with a reputation for exposing corporate overreach. Sophie's exposé, backed by IP logs, the note and witness accounts from the stream, hit the news. Harper Associates targets blogger for success. The backlash was swift. Clients dropped Rachel's firm, and a state investigation into their practices loomed. Yet the threats, "they're not done," suggested others were involved, a shadowy board pulling strings. I dug deeper, sifting through old family emails Rachel had sent years ago, where she hinted at a board of senior partners dictating her firm's moves. This was about more than her pride. It was a network protecting its interests, a corruption web I'd stumbled into. With Mia and Chloe, I organized a press conference, presenting the evidence and launching Rainy Shield, a legal fund to support bloggers facing corporate bullying. The room buzzed with support, journalists scribbling notes, but a hooded figure in the crowd caught my eye, watching intently, not joining the applause. Was this the real threat? My past struggles had forged my identity, and now they'd fuel my fight for justice. As the conference ended, Sophie approached with a lead. The figure's photo, captured by an attendee's phone, matched a disgraced executive tied to Rachel's board, a man ousted for embezzlement. The pieces clicked. This cabal saw me as a liability, my success exposing their vulnerabilities. The personal transformation I'd undergone from outcast to advocate now propelled me forward. I felt a surge of purpose, the locket from my mother. A gift echoing Grandpa's resilience, becoming my talisman. That night I wrote a blog post, rising in the rain, vowing to protect my community and pursue the truth. The threat loomed, but with my allies I'd turn their scorn into my triumph, step by step, rebuilding a future rooted in justice. The rain-soaked streets of Seattle glistened under the streetlights as I stood outside my apartment, the weight of the press conference still lingering in my bones. Lauren Brooks, once the family outcast dismissed by Rachel's scorn, had transformed into a force for justice. My blog Rainy Reflections now a beacon for a community I'd built from scratch. The exposé by Sophie Reed had ignited a firestorm. Harper Associates faced a state investigation, clients fled, and Rachel's board was scrambling to contain the fallout. Yet the hooded figure from the conference, identified as Daniel Voss, a disgraced executive tied to her firm's embezzlement scandal, remained a looming threat. This was no longer just about personal triumph. It was about delivering full aid alert, dismantling the Yalsa's luck web, and rebuilding a future where my voice and others could thrive. Back in my apartment, Chloe and Mia joined me, turning my living room into a strategy hub. Chloe's laptop hummed as she dug into Voss's past, uncovering ties to a shadowy consortium of corporate heavyweights who'd profited from Rachel's firm's dirty dealings. "He's not acting alone," she said, her fingers pausing on the keyboard. "This consortium funded Rachel's rise, and your success threatens their grip on the market." Mia nodded, her advocacy background kicking in. "We need to expose them publicly, force their hand." The idea of Dayanisma fueled us. My readers, now a movement, could amplify this fight. We planned a digital rally, live streaming from my blog, inviting survivors of corporate bullying to share their stories, turning my personal battle into a collective stand. The rally night arrived, my apartment buzzing with nervous energy. Chloe secured the stream with military-grade encryption, while Mia moderated, her voice a steady anchor. As I went live, thousands joined, their messages flooding the chat. Small business owners recounting harassment, employees fired for whistleblowing. I spoke, my voice raw. "They tried to silence me, but you've given me strength. Together we'll end this." Halfway through, a hack attempt jolted the feed, but Chloe thwarted it, tracing the source to Voss's known IP. The audience's outrage grew, mirroring the stream, their support a shield. The rally ended with a pledge. Rainy Shield would now target corporate overreach, funded by donations pouring in. The next day, Sophie's follow-up article named Voss and the consortium, backed by rally footage. The public outcry forced a federal probe, subpoenas flying. Rachel called, her voice breaking. "You've ruined me, Lauren." "But Voss, he's dangerous." Her admission hinted at Sefkit, a plea for mercy, but I held firm. "You chose this path," I said. "Face the consequences." Her firm collapsed and she faced charges, her board scattering. Voss, however, vanished, leaving a final threat. A burned USB left at my door with, "Next time it's personal." I refused to cower. With Chloe and Mia, I hired a PI, uncovering Voss's hideout in Tacoma. We coordinated with police, leading a sting that ended with his arrest, evidence of his crimes, bribes, threats, sealing his fate. The trial was a spectacle. Rachel testified against him for leniency, her bagaslama a bittersweet twist. Voss received a 25-year sentence, the consortium dismantled. Justice was served, the power they wielded broken. With the legal battles won, I focused on rebuilding. Rainy Roots expanded, offering workshops nationwide, while Rainy Shield became a legal powerhouse, supported by my growing blog revenue. The Boathouse Community Center idea from my past inspired a Seattle hub, its opening a celebration of resilience. Standing on its deck, I watched the rain fall, the locket glinting, a symbol of my Kayip and Yenadin Kasif. Grandpa's legacy, echoed by my mother, had guided me to this Kimlik. The pain of Rachel's scorn transformed into a future of Adalet, my triumph a testament to a community rebuilt from betrayal.